Round 5 of the ADAC GT4 Germany Championship 2023. We are getting towards the end of the season. It's the second race of the weekend here from the Sachsenring in the glorious sunshine. And after this weekend, there are just 2 races left. That'll be in Hockenheim in October. But for now, there's an awful lot of racing to come. Air temperature, 28.9 degrees. I'd like to summarize today for you. That is blooming hot here at the Sachsenring. We've had a wonderful weekend of racing. We had a great day yesterday. Mike David Ortman and Hugo Sasser extended their position at the top of the point standings, having taken a win. They just held it together and came through to pass David Jan and Janis Fitcher. They started on pole position in the number 31 car, but it was Sasser and Mike David Ortman who overtook them to come home and take the top step of the podium. In third place was Tim Reiter and Leon Vassather in the Hofer Racing by Bonk Motorsport BMW. They had a good qualifying session this morning, but have subsequently failed a technical inspection due to ballast that hasn't been secured properly, and they've been relegated to the back of the grid. So a long afternoon for them. But yesterday's pole sitter, David Jan, along with co-driver Janis Fitcher, who did the qualifying this morning, have done the very rare thing and scored a double pole position. It is Janis Fitcher who did the qualifying this morning, and he starts on that precious pole position in the number 31 Avia WNS Motorsport Porsche. Another Porsche lines up alongside, and that is that of Daniel Gregor and Finn Zulauf. In the number 75 car, it was Finn Zulauf who did the qualifying, and it's another Porsche again who starts third on the grid. Hendrik Still, another of the Avia WNS Motorsport Porsche. So Avia WNS Motorsport lining up in first, second and third on the grid with their Porsches. Then yesterday's winners, Mike David Ortman and Hugo Sasser, who did the qualifying this morning for Pro Sport Racing in the Aston Martin, the first of the non-Porsche cars lining up fourth on the grid. The big problem for Ortman and Sasser is they've got a load of success ballast on board. That is as a result of their win yesterday. They're carrying an extra 15 kilos on this circuit, which is especially challenging on the tyres for the cars. We saw it yesterday. A number of cars suffering punctures in the absolute closing stages of the race. This is a 1-hour race, and the drivers need to look after the cars. They need to look after the tyres. We are at the Sachsenring. It is a circuit that is 3.645 kilometers around with 13 turns. 4 to the right and 9 to the left. It features an awful lot of undulation, lots of uphill, lots of downhill, lots of blind crests, including the mighty waterfall, a section of the track down from turn 11, and it's a steep drop down towards turn 12. Very spectacular, but this track, running unusually in an anti-clockwise direction, really takes its toll on the tyres. That was proven yesterday, and we saw a number of cars retiring with punctures. So first job is going to be to get around the first couple of corners, because turn 1s, 2 and 3 are the scenes of many an incident over the years. Then the next job is going to be to look after the car, look after the tyres, and get it to the end. And then, if the possibility is there, get it on the podium, get the points. We're looking at turn 3. We're looking at the starting grid as we get ready for this race. And it's Janis Fitcher on pole position with Finn Zulauf alongside. Hendrik Still makes it Avia WNS Porsche 1, 2, 3. And then defending champion Hugo Sasser alongside Pavel Lefterov. Traumatic day yesterday alongside Ivan Eklichik. Great qualifying from him. Also great qualifying from Nathan Schaap and Denis Bulatov, championship challenger. Tom Wood at the right end of the grid and Leon Erger on row 5. Then Sami Matichogan and Max Wimmer. They are ahead of Simon Conoprim and Mex Janssen on row 7. Row 8, Josef Knopp and Tado Neumann in the trophy category. Ferdinand Winter and Christian Koch, another driver fighting in the trophy category, ahead of Dominik Schack and Christopher Röhrner. on row 11. Fabio Rao, welcome to the grid. And Lachlan Robinson, good to have him here as well. Yevgen Sokolovsky and Mikhail Makesh line up ahead of Celia Martin and Gabriel Piana, former champion in GT4. And following that disqualification from qualifying, Tim Reiter and the Hofer Racing by Bonk Motorsport BMW lines up stone last. I did mention Lachlan Robinson just now. He replaces Alex Connor in the number 18 BWT Muka Motorsport Mercedes. It is only his second ever car race. He's come straight from karting, did a good job yesterday, got the pressure on today, had to do the qualifying, qualified well, now has to keep it all together and bring it home. The cars are running now into grid formation up towards turn 12 in the glorious sunshine here, 28.9 degrees centigrade here at the Sachsenring. And in just a few moments, we will be getting ready for 60 minutes plus 1 lap of racing in the ADAC GT4 Germany. So hopefully a bit of heat generated into the tyres. Tyre warmers not allowed in GT4 racing. Riding on board there with Denis Bolotov. He needs to get his championship challenge back on track. He's second in the championship, but he's 26 points adrift of the car in 4th place. Keep an eye on it. This is race 10 of a 12-race season for the ADAC GT4 Germany. And we are go. The cars fan out into turn 1. Good start from Yanis Fincher. Bit of a challenge from Finn Zulav on the outside. I don't think he's going to make it stick. Now we've got to get all the cars around that first corner. Always tricky. 3 abreast and 4 abreast, but they all make it. Somehow squeezing through into the downhill section. The Castrol Omega, turn 3. Around they come, and then it's up the steep climb up towards turn 4. Great start from Yanis Fincher as he heads the field around. The rest of the cars look to have made it. Good job by everybody. Oh, we've got the camera in the bollard back. Welcome back to the Pope. That is the camera that is giving us these great shots as the cars come over the crest of the hill down towards turn 7. Then the little squirt of power along under the bridge before we head up turn 8. And it's the steep climb up turn 8. And then this is the really fast part of the track. It is flat out all the way. Yanis Fincher leading the way ahead of Finn Zulav. Hendrik still good start. Pavel Lefterov into 4th place, so he's got past Hugo Sasa in the number 1 car. Remember, they've got the success ballast on board. Nathan Schaap will be looking to make progress. There is Tom Wood on the outside of Denis Bolotov. Bolotov in 8th, so Tom Wood looking to make a challenge into the last corner. A bit of contact there between 2 of the Mercedes. The number 8 car was in there. That was Josef Knopp. They all survived to fight another day out of the last turn, out along the pit straight we come. You can see a number of cars looking to make a move into turn 1 under the heavy braking on the inside. As that Tom Wood in there as well. So Tom Wood pushing to try and find a route force. He and Denis Bolotov running side by side through turn 2. Great stuff. Just keep it out of the gravel, chaps. The rest of the field coming through. So good stuff from Fincher, then Finn Zulav, then Hendrik Still. Rest of the cars now just settling down. Again, some wonderful shots. We've got money on how long that camera is going to last. I'd give it about 5 minutes. Hopefully it'll last longer because that really captures some of the excitement and some of the speed. The challenge further back, Pavel Lefterov had an awful day yesterday along with Stefan Bastanchiev, his co-driver. They got a penalty lap, then they got 2 penalty laps, then they got a black flag. They were disqualified from the race, and they really want to make up some ground. And Stefan Bastanchiev, his co-driver of Pavel Lefterov, was so frustrated at the end of Sachsenring and even more frustrated yesterday. In a good position now to potentially pick up some points, but they've got Hugo Sasa behind them, the defending champion in the ADAC GT4 in the Aston Martin. Then a gap back to Nathan Schaap, then even Ekelchik. Now he's a driver who has improved so much this weekend. Denis Bolotov and Tom Wood still fighting each other for that 8th place. Then Sami Nati Trogan, Seymour Conoprim and Leon Erger. He's been making his debut in the series in the second half of this season and doing very well indeed. There's Tom Wood on the inside in the number 15 car. So it's quite the battle in the crowd there. So Tom Wood pushing forwards, and he has lost position to Denis Bulatov and Sami Mati-Trogan. So Tom Wood not going in the right direction at the moment, but it's a long way to go in this race. 56.5 minutes remaining plus 1 lap. Car number 1, a false start was registered, but there is no further action. So a big moment for Hugo Sasa. A false start. He ducked out of line a little bit early. The stewards have taken a look and have decided no further action. So that could have been very significant for yesterday's race winners. There is Janis Fitcher and Finn Zulaf. A replay into turn 1. We welcome car number 41 to the grid. That is the East Racing Motorsport BMW. It's got Christopher Röhrner at the wheel. We saw Christopher Röhrner last year in their trademark yellow livery, based just down the road. Good to have them as a part of this grid this weekend. Denis Bulatov, you can see how much traffic there was. You can see that Tom Wood had got in front of him at that point. And Bulatov really in what is known as the carbon fibre zone, right in the middle of the pack, fighting for position. This was Michael Makesh in the Project 1 number 54 car, and he is in the traffic as well. And the view from a former champion, Gabriel Piana, in the Hofer Racing by Bonk Motorsport BMW. He is in 14th place, and he too in the traffic, just trying to make up positions while the cars are all bunched together. A great opportunity to make positions, also a great opportunity to lose them. Pavel Lefterov looking increasingly under pressure from Hugo Sasa. Now the drivers of the number 1 car, defending champions, they really need points. They need to not be picking up any non-finishes. They've got a healthy lead in the points standings, but it could turn around also quickly. So they don't want to put the car in danger, and Pavel Lefterov will know that he's not going to be taking any wild risks to take position. There's dust being kicked up in the air as we ride on board with Gabriel Piana in the number 2 car in 14th place. So down the waterfall they come in towards turn 13, turn 12, and then up to turn 13. Here is our race leader, Janis Fitcher, Finn Zulaf in second. Then it's Hendrik Still and Pavel Lefterov, Hugo Sasa, Nathan Schaap, Denis Bulatov, who's now made it up to 7th place, and even Ekoshik challenges for position further back as we head along the pit straight in towards turn 1. Those are your leaders. Nobody is breaking away at the moment. There's a challenge for position into turn 1. Now, one of those was Simon Conor Prim, I think, and Mix Janssen, as Gabriel Piana in there as well, watching this from his 13th place, and he's now looking at Simon Conor Prim. So Mix Janssen has found a route past in the BMW, now into the Castrol Omega turn and around up the hill. You can see how blind that crest is. Past our camera in the bollard we come, and then down the hill once again towards turn 7. So Tom Wood in 10th place at the moment, staring at the back of Sami Mati-Trogan. It's BMW versus BMW. This is the toughest GT4 category in the world, the ADAC GT4 Germany. A great training ground, really hard work to make up positions, but Gabriel Piana in the BMW is making it look easy as he goes to the inside of Simon Conor Prim. That is for 12th place, into the sun, and then down the waterfall he comes. So a position made up by Gabriel Piana. He looked so quick yesterday, didn't qualify so well today, but is moving through the field. That BMW has been mighty all weekend long. Next up ahead of Gabriel Piana in the number 2 car is Mix Janssen in the number 34 in 11th place, and then it'll be Tom Wood there as well. So Christopher Röhrner, the guesting driver in the distinctive trademark yellow BMW in the background. And one of the Pro Sport Aston Martins challenging into turn 1. And that is Simon Conor Prim now coming under pressure, and Leon Erger. So Simon Conor Prim not really got a handle on that car at the moment, very much in the lower reaches of the points. And 13th place, well, that's not going to pay out much in terms of the championship. Simon Conor Prim, very much a contender in the championship, along with co-driver Jan-Philipp Springhoff. But they know that their main rivals in the championship are Hugo Sasa, Mike David Ortman, are a long way up the road in that 4th place. They need to try and move forwards. The number 19 car has been very impressive. Leon Erger, who's come from the world of sim racing, as a car has gone wide out of the corner. That is the number 6 car, even Ekelchik. He's sharing Nikolai Moller-Madsen. Let's have another look here. A bit of drifting going on. Keep the power on. The rear-ending Porsche going, flying up through the air. He keeps it going. He loses a position or two. Gabriel Piana sees the opportunity, goes sweeping past and moves up a position as well. So such a shame. Even Ekelchik has certainly got my vote as one of the most improved drivers of the year. And he has been fighting so hard along with co-driver Nikolai Moller-Madsen. 2 BMWs running side by side. That's Gabriel Piana in there as well. Max Janssen is his next victim. In towards turn 1 he comes. Under braking, is he going to go around the outside? That Hofer Racing by Bonk Motorsport BMW is absolutely dialed in. It feels as though Piana can pretty well put it anywhere he wants. He moves alongside the number 34 car, trying to go the long way around Castrol Omega. Such is the power and the grip in that car. Now up the hill he comes. Surely only a matter of time before he moves past and into the next position. So lots of BMWs running together. There's somebody who's got one onto the gravel. That looks like the 26 car it is, Christian Koch. So he keeps the power on. The main bit is to not let it get stationary. So Christian Koch rejoins, and he was in 20th place. He's running in the trophy category, and this was around turn 3, the Castrol Omega turn, and just getting it wrong. There was a queue of cars on the inside of him, ran out of road and ran out of traction across into the gravel. The Allied Racing team will be sweeping that one out for the rest of the evening. There'll be loads of gravel inside that Porsche, but he keeps it going to his credit and rejoins the race, albeit hemorrhaging a load of positions. So the 26 car back out on track. The other of the Allied Racing cars, Nathan Schaap, looking under pressure from Dennis Bulatov. He's now up into 7th place. Tom Wood into 8th. The Leon Erger really hustling the Aston Martin out of the final turn, out onto the pit straight. Some wonderful racing in the ADAC GT4 Germany as we look down from turn 1. Even Ekelchik was trailing some debris. Well, that debris is now parted company with the Porsche, but that won't help the handling. Behind him is Simon Konnenprim, trying to work hard to move his way up the order, but really not having the best of weekends at the moment. So 12th place is Ekelchik, Simon Konnenprim behind him, and then Tim Reiter. What great progress from stone last on the grid up to 14th place. So really good stuff. And also Leon Erger there as well, despite that moment of drifting, also pushing forwards. Now our focus back to the front. Janis Fischer leads. Finn Zulauf now coming under pressure from Hugo Sassa, because Sassa has found a route past Henrik Still. So Hugo Sassa up into 3rd place. Finn Zulauf can see the Aston Martin in his rearview mirrors. The championship leaders, also the defending champions. Hugo Sassa, co-driver Mike David Ortman, looking to be the first driver pairing to ever successfully defend a GT4 Germany title. Out along the pit straight they come. So Janis Fischer, 0.3 of a second last time. Now it is 0.5 of a second. So just opening up the gap a little bit from Finn Zulauf into turn 1 they come. Still single file, but fighting further back. And that like one of the BMWs looking to the outside. The Volkenhorst Motorsport BMWs fighting amongst themselves. That's Sami Matti Trogan and Max Janssen, with Gabriel Piana watching on from behind. So Max Janssen is directly in front of Gabriel Piana, and he is in the number 34 car. Sami Matti Trogan in the number 35 car. Here comes our leader. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cars all running nose to tail. Pavel Lefterov not letting them get away in the top 5. Then a small gap back to Nathan Schaap. Behind him, Dennis Bulatov and Tom Wood. Sami Matti Trogan. We're looking again at some of the cars going wide. That was out of 21st place. Was that Ferdinand Winter? I think it was. Yes, it was. So Ferdinand Winter also going a little bit wide out of the corner. The gravel being thrown up onto one of our many cameras in this glorious sunny day here at the Sachsenring in the ADAC GT4 Germany. So to remind you, there is a pit window that will open 25 minutes into the race, and it will remain open for 10 minutes. Therefore, it will close 35 minutes into the race. So during that 10-minute window, every car will be required to come into the pits for a mandatory stop and a driver change. There is also a minimum pit stop time of 95 seconds for pit entry to pit exit. Anybody who goes below that 95 seconds will pick up a penalty. We're looking at Pavel Lefterov in the number 23 Overdrive Racing Porsche, who is pressuring Hendrik Still for position. We're looking at Denis Bolotov, who's pressuring Nathan Schaap for position. So Denis Bolotov, who has led the championship for a while in the ADAC GT4 Germany, with Marty Fulgentios as co-driver. Marcel Linez, for health reasons, has had to sit out the second half of the season. We send our very best wishes to Marcel Linez and ask and hope that he has a very quick recovery. But Denis Bolotov in the championship hunt still, and he is pushing hard in that mighty Mercedes. Through the dust they come, up the hill. Gabriel Piana has made great progress, but now in 11th place is struggling to get past some very similar machinery in front of him, the BMWs of Max Jansen and Sami Matti Trogan. Down the waterfall they come. He has a little look in towards turn 12. Nothing going there at the moment, and good driving from Max Jansen, just positioning that car exactly where he needs to stop Piana from taking an advantage. Now they pick up a bit of curb on the inside of turn 13, then let it drift to the outside, out onto the pit straight. He'll try and get a good run as they head towards turn 1. Here come our leaders in the background. Gabriel Piana putting the pressure onto Max Jansen, but still not able to make a move. He has a little look on the outside, but unable to do anything in terms of moving forwards, but maybe just filling the mirrors of the number 34 car, maybe trying to force the Volkenhorst Motorsport BMW into a mistake, and that is almost what he does. There's a gap on the inside. Piana thinks about possibly trying to occupy the gap, decides that discretion is the better part of valor, backs out of it, lives to fight another day, but he is continuing to pressure. Gabriel Piana in the number 2 car, currently running in 11th place, but looking so rapid, but at the back of a queue of cars where overtaking is so difficult here at the Sachsenring. To remind you, tyre preservation is going to be everything. Any drivers that take too much out of the car in the early stages of this race may well pay the price later on. We saw that yesterday as Janus Fitcher just holding that gap of a little over half a second over Finn Zulauf. Gabriel Piana still pushing hard to try and find that 10th place. He's still not outwitting the Volkenhorst Motorsport cars that are in front of him, running together, the two teammates. Something of a rolling roadblock in Piana's mind, but they are now attacking each other. It is Max Jansen and Sami Matti Trogan. Gabriel Piana is going to make it 3 abreast. Along the pit straight they come. On the outside, is he going to get both of them? Yes, he does. Now, can he make it stick? He keeps the power on. This is why he is a former champion in the ADAC GT4 Germany. He's caught up with Denis Bolotov, and now he's looking to ruin the day of the number 4 car as well. So great stuff from Gabriel Piana. He waited his time, and then when the two Volkenhorst BMWs went head to head, he was ready to pounce, and still both positions away. Looking down, you've got Nathan Schaap in the blue and green Porsche. As we look at a replay here, this is wonderful stuff. So the 34 car of Max Jansen moves to the inside of Sami Matti Trogan. Piana, well, the gap looked to be closing for a while, and Trogan was the meat in the sandwich, and then Piana around the outside. He almost had a go at Bolotov as well. He tucks back in, and that was great stuff. Really good driving in the Hofer Racing by Bonk Motorsport BMW. You can see it's a fair old stretch around there, and I have to tell you, that is a big downhill section in the circuit. You don't get much much of an impression from the TV pictures of how downhill it is. It's also very narrow to where many accidents occur. So Gabriel Piana showing a lot of bravery and a lot of skill, keeping the car on the road and picking up 2 positions through that sequence of corners. Here come our race leaders, still fighting further back, and it's Piana to the inside of Denis Bulatov into turn 1. Piana picking them off one by one. Next up ahead of him is Nathan Schack, one of the newcomers into GT4 racing. He's got the veteran Gabriel Piana behind him, the number 2 driver, the Italian driver who has been so rapid in all the years that he's been part of this championship. And now he is going to be pressuring Nathan Schack. Is he going to force him into a mistake? Is he going to try and overtake him as they head in towards turn 12? We're going to find out in a bit. But Gabriel Piana making good progress. His teammate, Tim Reiter, up to 12th place from stone last on the grid. The other of the Hofer Racing by Bonk Motorsport BMWs. Those 2 cars are absolutely dialed in here at the Sachsenring this afternoon. So there's the gap that Nathan Schack has to Tom Wood, who's ahead of him. Gabriel Piana now lining them up. Down the waterfall they come towards turn 12. He pulls alongside. Is he going to go round the outside? He sweeps around the outside of the Porsche. Then up the hill towards turn 13 behind them. One of the Vulcan-horse BMWs going wide out onto the dirt, up onto the pit straight. And Denis Bulatov also fighting hard, but coming under pressure from Max Jansen and Sami Trogan, the 2 BMWs running as one. You can ride on board with Denis Bulatov. You can see him just glancing to the side. Doesn't look as though the Mercedes has quite the grunt to hold off the BMW. And suddenly he's coming under pressure. Car 34, Max Jansen finds a route past Sami Trogan, who has been shuffled down the order slightly, looking to attack as well. But look who's behind. Tim Reiter. What a great job. They finished in 3rd place yesterday, he and Leon Vassither, and they've got a 5-kilogram success ballast on board as well. It's certainly not slowing them down, making wonderful progress from the back of the grid. Here come our leaders once again up the hill. Turn 8, turn 9, turn 10, and then it's the big downhill, the waterfall towards turns 11 and 12. Here they come. It's Janis Victor, 0.3 of a second last time across the timing beam, ahead of Finn Zulaf. Hugo Sasser, well, is it possible to make it a back-to-back win with him and Mike David Ortman? They're going to see what they can do. They did that very thing last year. It was a double win for Hugo Sasser and Mike David Ortman at this event last year. They would dearly love to repeat that feat here at the Sachsenring this weekend. The fighting still continues. Denis Bulatov further back. Max Jansen, Sami Trogan, all running together with Denis Bulatov along the pit straight. But you can see the BMW just pulling clear as they head towards turn 1. And Bulatov looking vulnerable to the second of the BMWs. Across the line they come. And Sami Trogan just getting his nose in front. And there's a car stranded out on the track. Safety car is out. Dominic Schack for Eastside Motorsports. And that you can see while we had the safety car. He's clearly had a moment. He's been into the barriers and then come back out onto the track. So with 38.5 minutes remaining, you can certainly see why the race director decided to deploy the safety car fairly quickly. It looks like there's been a pretty large impact for that car. Stranded across the track, and certainly need to get the cars slowed down before they get to that section. At the moment, they are running up towards turn 9, but the drivers will now have had the message the safety car is out. There will be strictly no overtaking. Everything will go back into single file. So we keep one eye on Dominic Schack. It looks as though there has been a big impact with that Mercedes. You can see the tyre marks. He's come out. Now, whether one of the tyres has gone down or whether he's just lost control, got out onto the dirt, remains to be seen. But he's stranded there at the moment. So hopefully he's all okay. And a very fast piece of track. And we've just picked it up there at the end of it. You can see he's gone in to the barrier. A big impact for the number 20 car. He shares it with Philip Gogolok. Clearly, Philip will not be getting a drive this afternoon. The pit window has been postponed, so it would normally have opened in 2.5 minutes time, but it has been postponed so that drivers cannot gain an unfair advantage by pitting under safety cars. Mike David Ortman and the Pro Sport team are just looking on at the monitors. Obviously, our first concern is for the well-being of Dominic Schack and the East Side Motorsport Mercedes. He's clearly made a fairly big impact, and that will almost certainly have taken the wind out of his sails a little bit. Rest of the cars will follow behind the safety car, and we'll give you any more updates as and when we get it. So just to summarise, safety car is out. Janis Fitcher leads the way ahead of Finn Zulauf. Hugo Sasser rounding out the top three. And then it's Henrik Still, Pavel Lefterov, Tom Wood in 6th place. So if he can bring that home, along with Mo Ritson, that will be their best result of the season so far. Then the very rapid Gabriel Piano, who might have something to say about that 6th place. And Max Janssen, Nathan Schaap in 9th place, and Sami Matti Trogan. Dennis Bulatov shuffled down to 11th place, so his championship challenge really struggling coming into this race. He was 2nd, 26 points away from Mike David Ortman and Hugo Sasser. Simon Connor Prim and Jan Philip Springhob had dropped down to 4th, and we've got a red flag. So clearly the medical staff and the stewards need to just give a bit of attention to Dominic in that car. So red flag, the clock is stopped, and the cars will be brought into the pit lane. So everything comes to a halt, and there is on board with the safety car. So clearly the race stewards and the directors just don't want cars running around while they're attending to Dominic in that car. Now, whether there's been any damage to the barrier, not too sure about that. Didn't look like the barrier had taken too much of a hit, but it was a big impact. So we will find out what the score is in a bit. So the cars now will shuffle round and into the pits. In fact, onto the start-finish line, onto the grid. So the safety car just bringing them to a stop in the order that they were in. So Janis Fitcher and Finn Zulauf on the front there. It's Hugo Sasser who made the best progress. Big crowd of people here today, something in the region of 42,000 spectators here, enjoying the glorious sunny weather. We've enjoyed DTM, we've enjoyed GT Masters, we've enjoyed Porsche Carrera Cup Germany, and we've enjoyed the BMW M2 Cup. And some great racing from the ADAC GT4 Germany as well. But at the moment, the cars are brought to a stop on the grid while we attend to the number 20 car. And there was Mo Ritson there. He's sharing driving duties with Tom Wood. Drivers are able to get out of the car. The crew are able to work on the cars. Just while they're in this condition, there's Stefan Bostanchev just walking on the far right-hand side. He's got a movie that's just coming out along with the Overdrive Racing team called The First Lap. I'm hoping there's going to be an English version. And I'm hoping I'm going to be able to see it because it looks really good from the trailer. There is the number 75 car. Finn Zulauf is at the wheel. He is pretty impressive, but so is his co-driver, Daniel Gregor, who has been something of a sensation this year in the ADAC GT4 Germany. They were very, very rapid last time out at the Sachsenring, taking a win, and their first win, well, certainly it was Daniel's first win in race 1, but a controversy getting together with Dennis Bulatov in race 2 meant that they didn't record a finish. And so they lost a bit of a momentum in the points championship, but they are there. They're a little way back now, 82 points back from the championship leaders. So they are out of the running in terms of actually getting the top step of the championship, but very much there for a position. There's Alex Hartwig for Allied Racing. Of course, a lot of these drivers were suited up with crash helmets ready to go for their stint, because we were just approaching the pit window. But with the red flag, obviously everything's stopped. There, I think, is Denis Bulatov. Good to actually see the faces of some of the drivers. Get to see some of the faces behind the cars. But he's the main challenger to Hugo Sasser and Mike David Ortman, but really not enjoying the kind of pace that he has hoped for in this race. And the man who's stealing the headlines, Hugo Sasser, who's led the way, along with Mike David Ortman in the championship and currently running in third place in this race. I'd like to tell you who all these drivers are, but I don't recognise absolutely all of them. But we'll tell you any that we can recognise as the cars return to the grid. And now we just wait for news. And hello, sir. You're on television. Give us a smile in the hot sunshine. Or maybe not. In the hot sunshine. There is Denis Bulatov. You can see how hot it is. The temperature is 28.5 degrees centigrade. The track is up to 34.1. And it is a real test of driver in these conditions. They say it's like doing boxing in a sauna. It's a real test of the driver's fitness. We saw some intense heat at the Sachsenring, and these drivers having to work really hard. That's the number 9 car. So it's Joachim Bolting and Tano Neumann. I think that's Tano Neumann there. And they are one of the other Overdrive Racing Porsche 718s. So everybody getting an unexpected breather in this, the halfway point of this race, as we wait just to have any news as to how things are with the East Side Motorsport Mercedes, and especially with Dominik Schack, the German driver who had just a very big impact on the exit of turn 11 out onto the section of track called the Waterfall. Made big impact with the fence and then bounced back onto the racing line. That's David Jahn, a driver who we've been very grateful to have in the ADAC GT4 Germany. He featured a bit last year, but we've also seen him in the ADAC GT Masters over the years. David Jahn, a very talented driver. This is very different to the big Corvette that we used to see him drive in the GT Masters. But he's an experienced GT racer, and in fact, he's done GT Masters in 2010, 2013, 2014, 2016, 19, 20, 21. So there we go. He has done a few years, hasn't he? Also in Porsche Carrera Cup Germany back in 2010 to 2012. So he's been primarily a Porsche driver and has now found his home in the ADAC GT4 Germany. As Denis Bulatov talks to Marc Di Fulgentio. And I already mentioned earlier Marc Di Fulgentio, who has stepped in for Marcel Lenez. Marcel had a diaphragm operation in the spring, and he's still in pain from it, so requires another operation, and it's meant he's decided to take the rest of the season out. So we're waiting for news as to when we can get going. Very pleased to tell you that the driver of the number 20 car, Dominik Schack, he is all well. He is okay. There are no problems there. We're just waiting to get him out of the car. So good news to those who are watching. It looked like a big impact, so great news. Dominik Schack, he's all okay. We've had notification that he is well, just getting him out of the car. I think our medical team always erring on the side of caution. You always want to be careful when somebody's had a big impact. The car will also have taken a big hit as well. So just taking their time. We say take as much time as you need to just get him out of the car. He'll need just a bit of time to get himself together, but great news. Dominik Schack is all okay, and we'll have that car cleared up and we'll be back under racing before too long. So that is really good news indeed. We've also, I was just mentioning Marc Di Fulgentio, who's in for Marcel Lenez. So yes, get well soon, Marcel Lenez. Hopefully we'll see you in the season next year. There's Mike David Ortman and Hugo Sasser. He must be roasting in there, loving the kangaroo with the boxing gloves on the side. And now just waiting in the direct sunlight to get this thing going again. The Max Kronberg Henrik Still car, with Henrik Still currently at the wheel. The team are allowed to work on the cars during the red flag period, and for those that were involved in some of the skirmishes at the start of this race, that will be very good news. Apart from Dominic Schack, we have all cars still running in the race, so that is good news as well. It is Janis Fischer, who at the time of stoppage was the race leader, our leading junior driver. Of course, we have a junior championship as well as Finn Zulaf. He's in second place. Our second place junior driver, Pavel Lefterov, he's 5th overall. We have the junior championship coming into this race. It was Simon Connor Prim who was leading the way in the junior championship with 151. Daniel Gregor and Finn Zulaf in second with 129. So if things stay as they are, they're going to close in on Simon Connor Prim, who's currently in 14th place. That's the way to get around, isn't it? You can see from your notification the race will start behind the safety car, and it will resume at 17:30 local time. So that is in 9 minutes. In 9 minutes, the race will start behind the safety car. The bonnet up on the number 15 FK Performance BMW. There's Mo Ritson chatting to Tom Wood. Doesn't look like there's any traumas. Go on, speak up, chap. We want to hear what you're saying.
What about up front?
Cut away at the last minute. There's Gabriel Piana, if I'm not wrong. I probably am, normally am. In the Hofer Racing by Bonk Motorsport BMW. Gabriel Piana, who won the championship in 2021. He's teamed up with Marat Kairov, the driver from Kyrgyzstan, and really good to have Gabriel Piana. He's already said, I don't really see myself as a championship challenger this year. Very much getting Marat up to speed, working in a training capacity. Marat, who's in the trophy category, currently leading the trophy category. So that is for the, we could say, gentleman drivers. Marat Kairov leads Christian Koch and Tom Kiefer, 315 points to 264. This is what we like to see, and that is the driver of the number 20 car. No, it's not the number 20 car, I beg your pardon. I thought that was out of the car. But yes, Dominic Schack is all okay. Just to reassure you, for those who are watching, yeah, that's, I could do sending one of those up here, please. Max Janssen getting the benefit of a leaf blower. Oh, that's a great way to cool down, that is. And soon they will be getting back into the cars. We are 7.5 minutes away from the restart of this race. It is race 10 of a 12-race season for the ADAC GT4 Germany. It has been a thoroughly entertaining year. No real favourite in the championship until recently, and suddenly Mike David Ortmann and Hugo Sasser have lifted their heads above the parapet. They won at Oschersleben in race 2. They needed to do that because Mike David Ortmann didn't even complete one lap in race 1 of the season. The defending champions then won again in race 2 at the Nürburgring in very challenging conditions, and then they won yesterday, race 1 of this weekend, in that 3rd place. Now, what will happen when the pit window opens? Will Hugo Sasser stay out? But with the cars so close together, it might be that the Pro Sport team decide to get him in early, get Mike David Ortmann in the seat and get him out on some open track, and perhaps try and do an undercut on Finn Zulaf and even Janis Fischer up ahead of them. Of course, the cars will be running nose to tail. Any gaps that have been built up will be wiped out. I would say that when we restart, keep an eye on Gabriel Piana in 7th place in the number 2 BMW. He has been very rapid indeed. Also, keep an eye on Tim Reiter, who came from the back. That's a great beard, and that is a great hat. It says it all about the weather and the conditions here at the Sachsenring this weekend. It is blooming hot. That's my summary. Yes, Tim Reiter came from the back. To remind you, had a technical disqualification from qualifying this morning as a result of some ballast that wasn't secured properly. And Tim Reiter had to come from the back. He's made it up to 12th place. Also, Ivan Ekulchik, well, we saw him lose a bit of bodywork. He's just behind him in 13th place. He, along with Nikolai Moller-Madsen in the number 6 Porsche, they will be making good progress. There is the aforementioned Tim Reiter. And yeah, we give you a wave. We give you a thumbs up, because you have done an epic job so far. And we'll be looking to improve on that. Of course, finished 3rd yesterday, the first podium of the year. They got a 4th at Zandvoort. Tim Reiter and co-driver Leon Wasserthurer. But the Hofer Racing by Bonk Motorsport, they know how to prepare a car. Leon Erger and Raphael Renhofer there in the number 19 Pro Sport Aston Martin as well. There is the car that has caused the stoppage, the number 20 car that is prepared by Eastside Motorsport, the Mercedes, which you can see has taken a bit of a beating. Dominic Schack was at the wheel. It was a big impact, but we're pleased to say he's all okay. He's out of the car now being loaded onto the flatbed truck, and will soon be winging its way back to the paddock, and the team will get to work on that and have that back together in time for the season closer in October. Yes, we've got a bit of a break. We've got 5 or 6 weeks now before the season closer at Hockenheim. The weather conditions may well be a little bit different. Right, new pit stop window will be between 17:33 and 19 seconds. That's very specific. And 17:43 and 19 seconds local time. So if the race restarts at 17:30, which it's scheduled to do, we will have 3 minutes and 19 seconds, and then the pit window will open. Quite hard for these drivers. They've been running around. They've done 24 minutes of this race into the rhythm. Now they've got to get back up to speed. They've got to run, well, for a minimum of 3 minutes and 20 seconds, and then potentially come into the pits. They've got a 10-minute window. It will be very much strategy. A lot of cars are going to be in traffic once we get going. So I reckon my theory is we're going to see quite a lot of cars coming in quite early to try and get them out onto clear track and try and get some undercuts and overcuts done through the pit window sequence. The blowers being put to good effect, keeping these cars cool in the glorious sunlight. Simon Conner-Prim in the 85 car. Bit of work to do there, 14th place. That's only going to pay out 2 points if things finish as they are, and they really want to get back into the championship hunt. But still a little way to go in this race. An awful lot can happen and probably will happen as this race unfolds a little bit further. So I'm looking at the points championship, and I'm just looking coming into this, Hugo Sasser and Mike David Ortman. It is possible they could actually clinch this championship if the cars around them were to have a bad day. It's pretty unlikely, but they've got 148. There are just 50 points available after today. So it is possible this championship could be clinched here this afternoon. It would take a fairly gargantuan effort from Hugo Sasser and Mike David Ortman. Dennis Bulatov, though, not having the best of days. And David Yarn and Yanis Fitcher at the moment leading the way, so something would have to befall them for that to happen. But stranger things have happened, but we expect this championship to go all the way to the last race. That's the way it normally is in GT4 Germany. Now, car 23 is under investigation. That car is permanently under investigation. Pavel Lefterov, infringement of the 3-minute rule. I think we're up to 3 minutes to go. It has to be all teams clear of the car. Car 23 currently having his best race of the season so far, with Pavel Lefterov at the wheel, sharing with Stefan Bastanchiev, looking to improve on their best of 9th place so far, in 5th place, but under investigation. So that could be some bad news incoming for the Overdrive Racing Porsche. So we're getting ready to go. How long have we got? We've got about a minute and a quarter before the cars will start. There will be a formation lap. It will be single file, and then the safety car will lead them around. We'd expect them to be racing next time around. Co-drivers on standby. #1 drivers for this session now in the driver's seats. The engines fire up. We are very shortly getting ready to go racing again in this race 2 of the weekend in the ADAC GT4 Germany here at the Sachsenring. The ground is shaking here. Our commentary position on the home straight as the cars are burst into life. And very shortly, the safety car will lead them away. There is 36 minutes and 19 seconds remaining on the clock. There is the 30-second board that says that in a moment, we will be getting ready to go. It'll be time to get the heat back into the tyres and into the brakes. So this formation lap will be very important. And they will use that time to get everything back up to temperature. And then we will be back under racing conditions. You can see the drivers are limbering up in the car. That's Dennis Bulatov. That's the view in front of him. And he can see Nathan Schaap there as well. Right, the clock has started. We are about to get back underway for the restart of race 10 of the season here. We had a safety car followed by a red flag as a result of an impact with the barrier by Dominic Schack in the number 20 Eastside Motorsport Mercedes. Pleased to say Dominic is all okay. The car has been removed and now we are ready to recommence this race. The sun's starting to go down a bit in the eyes of the drivers. And that is the Castrol Omega turn, a really unusual corner. And it's downhill into this corner and then a really steep incline as well. So behind the safety car, we come up the hill. Great view from our bollard cam. And the Pope bringing us great pictures here from Sachsenring. So the clock is ticking down to remind you that the pit window will open at it was 17:33, so the new pit stop window at 17:33 till 43. So the timing screens have updated it and rounded it down to 17:33. Time now is 17:31. So we've got about a minute and 3/4 until the pit window opens. So for many of these drivers who are planning on doing a short first stint, then they may well peel off into the pits after the first lap of this race is completed. Down the waterfall we come once again. Heat generated into the tyres. It is Janis Vitscher who leads this race. Finn Zulaf in second. Defending champion Hugo Sasser in third. Henrik still in fourth. Pavel Lefterov, although he's under investigation and has received a penalty lap. So Pavel Lefterov will have to visit the penalty box for an infringement of the 3-minute rule before the race restarted. That is dreadful news for the number 23 Overdrive Racing Porsche. He will have to drop into the penalty box within the next lap or so. Right up over the hill, Janis Vitscher onto the pit straight. We are running once again. Pavel Lefterov looking to make up ground nice and early. Moves to the outside, heading in towards turn one. Also Hugo Sasser and Finn Zulaf running side by side into that first corner. Finn Zulaf's taking a tighter line into turn one. Hugo Sasser slotting back in. Hendrik still there as well. Still the Vulcan Horse Motorsports back into the battles. There's Pavel Lefterov through the penalty box he goes. He loses a whole handful of places. He rejoins, but good that he's done it nice and quickly. He rejoins behind Dennis Bulatov, so that'll be 11th place for Pavel Lefterov. So that is a really bad news for them, but he's got it done nice and quickly, and now he can focus on moving back forwards through the pack. Janis Vitscher leading the way. In a few moments, the pit window will open, and then the cars will be ready to come in. Here we go. Pit window is already open now. There's a 10-minute window when everybody will need to come into the pits for a mandatory stop and a driver change. So around the track we come. Janis Vitscher leads the way from Finn Zulaf, and look at that lead he's got. And really got the jump on Finn Zulaf, already opening up quite a gap. There is Hugo Sasser in third place, looking very eager. Henrik Still and Pavel Lefterov. Tom Wood there as well. Pavel Lefterov having dropped down. So Tom Wood, Gabriel Piana. Keep an eye on Gabriel Piana. He has been mighty. Mex Janssen and Sami Matti Trogan, the two Vulcan Horse BMWs. So into the pits. Was that look like potentially Hugo Sasser? Yes, it was. Sasser into the pits. We thought there might be quite a few coming in early. Significantly, Hugo Sasser looking to hand over to Mike David Altman. Is that Nathan Schaap? Yes, it is. So Schaap comes into the pits as well, handing over to Alex Hartvid. Also, Mikael Makash into the pits. He'll be handing over to Max Osten. Those are two very rapid drivers in the number 54 Project 1 BMW. Josef Knopp also jumps out of the car. Rodrigo Almeida, the driver from Mozambique, will be ready to get into the seat of the car and take over the driving duties. This is significant, though. Hugo Sasser is out. He helps Mike David Ortmann to get plugged in, plugs his radio in. Oh, something. Well, for anybody who speaks German, you probably are more educated than I am, but he said something about pickup, but he passes over any relevant information, wishes him good luck, slams the door, and Hugo Sasa is done for the weekend. His hard work is done. It's now down to Mike David Ortmann to bring it home. Remember, there is a minimum pit stop time of 95 seconds from pit entry to pit exit. That is why they are sat there waiting, and in a few moments they will get the indication that it's time to go, and they will try to hit the line on the pit exit just as the clock strikes 0. So waiting there, 12, 11, 10. They would have back-timed it, so they know it's a 10-second drive to the pit exit, but they must not get there ahead of time, otherwise it will be a disaster. The rest of the field comes through and out onto the track. So 0.6 of a second lost through the pit sequence. That's pretty good. Better that way than to go under, because that really would ruin your afternoon. We've seen it so many times. Lots of drivers in. Finn Zulauf handing over to Daniel Gregor. Pavel Lefterov back into the penalty box. So it only said 1 penalty lap. Maybe he's doing another one just to be sure. But that was Pavel Lefterov back into the penalty box again on the exit of turn 1. Maybe they were given more than 1 penalty lap and it hasn't been updated on the screens yet, as we see a replay from the perspective of Mikael Makesh, and that was even Ekel Schick getting it wrong, and Makesh spinning the car on the exit of the last corner, and that's a lively moment right in front of the pit lane. He swings it around, and oh, dearie me, that's a lively moment. Good handbrake turn skills, but he rejoins, gets back in, and comes out in well, you can see the other cars manoeuvring around as he goes there, so we didn't see that at the time. So that was a lively moment for Mikael Makesh. You could see one of the Pro Sport Aston Martins having to lock up pretty hard to get to the line as well. Good skills, but not necessarily a quick way to do a pit stop. Right, here we go. It is Janis Fischer, Gabriel Piana up into second place. Now that's on account of the fact that a number of the cars in front has stopped, but he has got in front of Tom Wood, who has stayed out. So it's Piana into second place, Tom Wood going long into the stint. There is Tim Reiter and Dennis Bulatov also running side by side. Ahead of them is Henrik Still. So the front-running cars, the rest of them staying out. Emil Yedrum and Patrick Steinmetz are at the wheels of their cars. So we have a replay looking towards the final corner of the track. And this is Tom Wood and Gabriel Piana going side by side, and Piana sailing by with relative ease. Both cars are the BMW, but Piana really has that car dialed in this weekend, along with teammate Tim Reiter. They are taking absolutely no prisoners. I think Piana will try and stay out as late as possible into the pit window and make as much ground as possible. We saw car 54, Mikael Makesh, spinning. That has been investigated, an incident between him and car number 9, which is Tano Neumann, and it might be the two cars that got together that caused that problem. Stewards are taking a look at that, as we see now Daniel Gregor ahead of Mike David Ortmann in the number 1 car. So Daniel Gregor looks like he's made the jump through the pit stop sequence, done a good job, but Mike David Ortmann is up with him. Now indicated to come into the pits is Pavel Lefterov. We see him peel off into the pits. It's been a traumatic weekend for Pavel, and he'll be happy to hand it over to Stefan Bastanchiev, who will finish the driving duties in the number 23 car this weekend. Also into the pits, that is Max Wimmer, handing over to Eric Scalvini. Here comes Pavel Lefterov. They really have been in the wars, primarily with the race steward. And into the pit box comes Pavel. Stefan Bastanchiev will be on standby. Here he comes. The driver who lives currently in London but comes from Bulgaria jumps on board that car and relieves Pavel Lefterov of driving duties for the rest of this race. It's Janis Fischer leading the well, Gabriel Piana, Tom Wood, Henrik Still, Tim Reiter, Dennis Bulatov, Simon Connor Prim, then Celia Martin, Tano Neumann, Yevgen Sokolovsky, and then we are up with the stoppers, Nico Hanke, Eric Scalvini, and Stefan Bostanchev in the pits. Mike David Ortman has found the route past Daniel Gregor. So Mike David Ortman in the #1 Pro Sport Aston Martin, looking very strong indeed, and a very significant move in the championship hunt. The question will be is where will David Yarn filter out once he has handed over to Yanis Fitcher? We're going to find out in a bit because they're into the pits. The lead is handed over to Gabriel Piana because Yanis Fitcher now into the pit lane. There is Wimmer coming out of his pit box. They avoid making contact with each other, one coming in, the other going out. And there is David Yarn on standby, ready to get going. Now he goes, opens the door, and he'll help Yanis Fitcher out of the car. Good job done. He put the car on pole position for the second time this weekend. They want to keep their championship hopes alive. They are 35 points behind coming into this race, behind Hugo Sasser and Mike David Orman. They need to score. Ideally, they need to finish in front because after this weekend, there will be just 50 points available in the ADAC GT4 Germany. Car number 9 has been awarded 3 penalty laps for causing a collision, both with Mikhail Makesh and also with Pavel Lefterov. So car number 9, that is Tado Neumann, is going to have to visit the penalty box 3 times. So that is going to be a real problem for them. They're currently in 9th place, but that is really bad news. Piana is out on the track still. 2 minutes remaining, so he's going to have to pit before too long, and he will hand the car over to Marat Kairov, who will take control of that very rapid BMW. Now, David Yarn just waits for the clock to tick down. The magic number is 6 seconds, so that is when he gets the thing rolling. Don't get to the line too quickly, otherwise there will be a penalty. Half a second, so that's pretty close to the mark. You really don't want to cut it any closer than that. Tom Wood now into the pits as well. He's handing over to Mo Ritson, and Henrik still into the pits. He's handing over to Max Kronberg. Denis Bolatov is in. This is significant. He will be giving the driving duties over to Mark Di Fulgentio. Still, there are just 3 cars out on track. One of them, Gabriel Piana, Tim Reiter. So the 2 Hofer Racing by Bonk Motorsport BMW staying out. Seymour Conor-Prim is out as well at the moment in 3rd place, and he will soon be handing over to Jan Philip Springhoff. They will need to come in very soon because there is just a little over a minute remaining in the pit window, but a car going slowly. That is Daniel Gregor. Looks like he's got a problem. Is it a puncture? I don't know what it is. The car's 75. He's going slow. He goes wide. You see the back end stepping out, and I think that might be a flat tyre. We know that tyres are going to be an issue here in the latter part of this race. A nice bit of drifting. He's not able to get it into the pits, but car 75 is circulating a lot slower. Yes, it is a flat tyre, the right rear. The Porsches do seem to be more susceptible than some of the other cars to the tyre blowing out, and that's exactly what's happened on the Avia W&S Motorsport Porsche. Car number 75 after such a strong run, and it is Daniel Gregor with the puncture who's going to have to crawl all the way back to the pits. He just missed coming into the pits, so it'll be a long way round before he can come back in and get that tyre changed. A lot of fighting all the way back through the pack, including Max Osten, who took over Mikhail Makesh. The pit window is now closed, so everybody who needed to pit has pitted. Good news is, so far, we haven't had anybody going below the pit stop time. Lots of drama. There is Stefan Bostanchev fighting into the corner in the number 23 car. Round him is Robin Falkenbach. There is also Rodrigo Almeida as well. There's one of the cars going wide onto the gravel. Marat Kairov now into the car that Gabriel Piana has used to such good effect. He was the race leader. The new race leader is going to be David Yarn because he did get out of the pits ahead of Mike David Ortman. Mo Ritson currently in 3rd place. Now that is the 83 car of Robin Falkenbach. A lot of damage. That was the car we saw going wide. It looks like a potential flat tyre. Was a flat tyre there for sure. The rubber completely gone to car 83. The back bumper is hanging off as well. It's a long way round to the pit, so car 83 also having to take that long journey back to the pit lane. So 22 minutes remaining of this race, 22 minutes and 10 seconds and counting. Here comes the David Yarn car along the pit straight. Now, what can Marat Kyrov do? He comes out in front of David Yarn, but David Yarn is up to speed, and it looks as though Marat Kyrov will take the lead of this race, or will he? David Yarn, Mike David Ortman, the rest of the cars fighting behind it. Is Marat Kyrov in the lead at the moment? David Yarn there as well. Mike David Ortman, Mo Ritson, who took over from Tom Wood, Leon Vasserthura in the BMW, and Nico Hanker. A great scrap with the pit window closed. And now, how long can Marat Kyrov hold on? We know the car is quick. We know that Marat is still fairly new to the world of GT4 racing. David Yarn, a real veteran of this sport. And he will be putting the pressure onto the BMW. He'll also be thinking about yesterday. He led for so long, but Mike David Ortman found a route past to take the win along with Hugo Sasser. The 83 car, a slow journey back to the pits. It's gonna feel like a very long lap for Robin Falkenbach. He's down in 25th position at the moment and dropping. The 41 car also challenging for position with Steve Kirsch at the wheel in 17th place, and that is a replay of the car getting the puncture. Now, was it a puncture as a result of wear, or was it contact with Stefan Bostanchiev? It has been reported to the steward, so once again, the number 23 car is under review, and it is Stefan Bostanchiev who's under investigation for potentially getting together with Robin Falkenbach and causing that puncture. A little over 20 minutes of this race remaining. This is for the lead. Marat Kyrov in the BMW looking a little bit vulnerable. In the background, Mike David Ortman. David Yarn looks to the inside. Up the hill they come. Into the sun. It dazzles you as you point up into the sky. Over the top of the hill. Turn 5, turn 6, and then down we come. It's still Marat Kyrov. He took over Gabriel Piana. They got the jump through the pit stop sequence, leading the way. David Yarn looking quicker of the two in the number 31. Mike David Ortman has a sniff of back-to-back victories. He thinks he can get past both of them in the Aston Martin. Here we come. 1, 2, 3, all running together. Yarn to the inside. Marat Kyrov has nothing for him. Into the corner they come. Turn 10, and they're down the waterfall. A new race leader. It is David Yarn ahead, and Kyrov now backs out of it because Mike David Ortman challenging for the lead into turn 12. Yarn shuts the door. These are two drivers that have fought each other over the years in GT Masters and GT4. Now up towards turn 13. David Yarn, the new race leader. Mike David Ortman now into second place. Marat Kyrov dropped down into third. Onto the pit straight. David Yarn going really wide. Remember, the Porsches can be susceptible to punctures here at the Sachsenring. Round the outside goes Mike David Ortman. David Yarn, almost a resigned look in his eyes as he sees the number 1 car go sailing past. Mike David Ortman takes the lead with just under 19 minutes of this race remaining. It looks like David Yarn is going slowly. David Yarn in trouble. Is it a puncture? We saw him going wide. This could be really significant in the championship. We said that Mike David Ortman and Hugo Sasser could seal this championship today if troubles befell their main challengers. Well, at the moment, there is big trouble. David Yarn has a puncture. We've seen it on several cars already. Yarn is now crawling, dropping out of the points. Our new race leader, having been in third place for so long, Mike David Ortman and Hugo Sasser leading the way. Could it be that they could seal this championship here this weekend? And you can see the distress. Janis Fischer did all the hard work, but now it looks as though he can go no further and score no more points. I'm just looking at the points connotations. If the race finished as it was now, Denis Bulatov would still pick up enough points to take the championship challenge to the last round at Hockenheim, but it's starting to get very close indeed. So it would be a 44-point deficit if things remain as they are now. So Denis Bulatov's continued championship challenge is in the hands of Marc Di Fulgentio in that 9th place. David Jahn and Janis Fischer look as though they are not going to score this afternoon, and they will be out of the championship hunt for 2023 in the ADAC GT4 Germany. The only driver, I think, who can now challenge Mike David Ortmann and Hugo Sasser for the championship is Denis Bulatov. 9th place would give him 7 points. A win for Hugo Sasser and Mike David Ortmann would give him 25. That would mean there would be 44 points between them. It would go to the next round, but it would require some really bad luck for Hugo Sasser and Mike David Ortmann for them not to win this. Having said that, there's a long way to go yet, because we've still got 16.5 minutes of this race remaining. They've got to bring the car home. They too could end up with a puncture if they're not careful. Now look at this fight for second place. It is Leon Vassathura as well who is putting the pressure onto Marat Kairov into second place. Also there, Mo Ritson, who took over from Tom Wood. The BMWs are looking so strong here at the Sachsenring this weekend. Marat Kairov bails out of it. Also surrenders a position to Nico Hanke. Enzo Juli in 6th place, just a bit too far back at the moment. But Leon Vassathura from the back of the grid, along with Tim Reiter, up into second place. What phenomenal progress that is. Mike David Ortmann and Hugo Sasser, as the race reaches its last quarter distance, lead the way by 4.1 seconds over the number 5 car, Leon Vassathura. Mo Ritson looking for his best score ever in ADAC GT Masters into that 3rd place. And there is David Jahn and Janis Fischer. They've retired from the race. Their championship is over for this year, unless there is a problem for Mike David Ortmann and Hugo Sasser before this race ends. And unless that happens, they are not going to be in with a shout at this championship. So they look on in the pits and think about what might have been their main rivals, Mike David Ortmann, Hugo Sasser. A replay there of David Jahn getting that car, the bits of tyre shredded and falling off the car. And you can see how hot those slick tyres get, and the smoke coming off them. And out on the exit of turn 13, the remnants of that tyre, and car number 31 is into the pits. It's always been a tyre eater here at the Sachsenring. The Porsches do seem to be especially susceptible to it this year, but all cars are susceptible to punctures, especially here. It's an abrasive surface. It is a very fast track, the anti-clockwise circuit, putting all sorts of pressure on the car. Car number 1, though, no such problems, leading the way. Mike David Ortmann, our leader. Leon Vassathura at 3.6 seconds behind. Mo Ritson in 3rd place, along with Tom Wood, hopefully to get a podium for them. But Nico Hanke might have something to say about that. He, along with Max Janssen, in that 4th place in the Vulcan Sport BMW. Following at the moment, but are they going to mount a challenge? Is there anything Nico Hanke can do? Mo Ritson, first year in the ADAC GT4 Germany. Nico Hanke, we've seen before, going to be using all the skill that he's got. I should think Tom Wood will be watching from behind a cushion in the garage. We're riding on board with Mark Di Fulgentio in 9th place. He needs to hold that position. He needs to potentially move forwards to take this championship to the next round. Jan-Philipp Springhoff ahead of him in the Mercedes. Di Fulgentio himself is not in the championship hunt. He is driving very much for his teammate, Denis Bulatov, who needs those points. The number 30, Max Kronberg, has Jan-Philipp Springhoff for company. Kronberg in 7th, Jan-Philipp Springhoff in 8th. And now to the inside goes Springhoff out of turn 13, up the hill. And the Mercedes, it goes past. Di Fulgentio has got a plan on that already. Heading towards turn 1. Once again we come. Marat Kairov really struggling for traction at the moment. Looks like Enzo Juli making a challenge behind them. Jan-Philipp Springhoff, Max Kronberg, Mark Di Fulgentio at the back of that queue. Denis Bulatov would buy him a big drink, I should think, if he can move his way a bit further forwards up through the pack, take the pressure off a bit for Hockenheim, but he must bring it home. He cannot afford to put it in the gravel trap, otherwise the championship really will be over. Max Kronberg there in 8th place in the green Porsche. There's Leon Vasserthura, second place, running on his own. Then Mo Ritson with Neko Hanka for company. Then a gap back to Marat Kairov, Enzo Juli challenging. Then Jan-Philipp Springhoff and Max Kronberg, Mark Di Fulgentio and Nikolai Moller-Madsen in the orange and white Porsche. He's been quick all weekend as well. Our fastest man has been Gabriel Piana in the Hofer Racing by Bonk Motorsport BMW. He's had the fastest lap of anybody this weekend, but now that car under a little bit of pressure from car number 35. That's Enzo Juli looking to relieve him of that 5th place. And still, Marat Kairov fighting hard on the outside line. Important to bring it home and not to chuck it in the gravel trap. Out onto the pit straight they come, side by side. And Kairov, good defensive job. He holds on to that position, but now Enzo Juli looks to the inside in towards turn 1. Will Kairov shut the door on him? He doesn't, he leaves him space at the moment. And now Enzo Juli sees the gap on the inside. The two cars making the very slightest bit of contact around turn 2. Now Enzo Juli has the inside line into the Castrol Omega turn, under braking, keeping it clean just behind them. Jan-Philipp Springhoff as well, ready to pounce if he can. Through goes Enzo Juli. Jan-Philipp Springhoff following in his wake. Looks like Marat Kairov could be relegated 2 positions in this one lap. Enzo Juli immediately putting space between him and Marat Kairov. Now Jan-Philipp Springhoff looking to emulate that move. Out towards turn 8 they come. Have a little look to the inside, tuck back in onto the hill. Up here we go once again. This is the fast part of the track. This is where Jan-Philipp Springhoff will start to think about lining up the BMW in front of him. He'll try and get a good run out of turn 10 and then down the waterfall. It'll be the high-speed section now. Here we go, down the waterfall towards turn 12. Under the braking, Springhoff now tucked up behind, up the hill towards turn 13. If he can get a good exit out of 13, he'll pull alongside him along the pit straight and try to challenge him into turn 1. There's a question of whether that Mercedes has the grunt to do that. Out to 13, out onto the pit straight we come. Not the best of exits onto the straight, but maybe he'll have a go. Towards turn 1 they come. Here's Enzo Juli having pulled clear in towards turn 1. Springhoff, a little look to the inside, thinks the better of it. Now there's a gap. Marat Kairov's gone a little bit deep, but he's still very much in control in the BMW. He holds on around turn 2 in towards turn 3. Castrol Omega turn. Head of them is Enzo Juli still. In the background is Max Kronberg in the number 30 car, ready to pounce if these two cars get together. Then Mark Di Fulgentio, a very significant car in the championship battle. Still very much as you were, but it could all change. In the meantime, Rodrigo Almeida has made a move past Nikolai Moller-Madsen. That is for 10th place. We're looking at a replay here of this challenge, and that was Nikolai Moller-Madsen. That is why Rodrigo Almeida got past. Nikolai Moller-Madsen getting it wrong. Runs through the gravel trap, keeps the power on so he doesn't get stranded. The slight contact with the fence, but you think the tyres might be going off on that Porsche. He rejoins, and there is a car that's in trouble. Another puncture is Leon Vasserthura in 2nd place. The BMW with a puncture, and he's going to have to find his way all the way back round to the pits now. So Leon Vasserthura and Tim Reiter, having come from the very back of the grid, into 2nd place. And now it's going to be the slow crawl back to the pits. A podium position out of the question. Points almost certainly out of the question as well. On board with Max Osten. He's been very much in the wars in the number 54 car. And just see him having a bit of moment into the sun in the Project 1 car. Goes wide. Is this another puncture? It may well be. So car 54 has dropped down to 22nd place. Yes, it is. The punctures are now starting to come. We predicted this might be the case. Max Osten has decided to call it a day. The team are putting another wheel and tyre on. Max Osten takes a look, but realizes his afternoon is over. This is why we say it's not over yet, because anything can happen. 7 3/4 minutes of this race remaining. First job, survive turns 1, 2 and 3. Well, most of them have done that. Second job, get the car to the end of the race with 4 wheels attached, 4 tyres inflated, and then hopefully pick up the points. Mike David Ortman leads the way, 8.6 seconds ahead of Mo Ritson. He and Tom Wood looking for their best result of the year so far. Nico Handke, though, looking to relieve them of that position in the number 34 car. Enzo Juli, teammate to Nico Handke, in 4th place, ahead of Marat Kairov. Done a great job fighting off Jan-Philipp Springhoff, and then Max Kronberg, Marc Di Fulgentio up into 8th place. Valuable points for the number 4 Mercedes. Out along the pit straight we come once again. It is Marat Kairov under pressure from Jan-Philipp Springhoff. Springhoff ducks to the inside into turn 1. He sees the gap. Now Marat Kairov has no answer. Jan-Philipp Springhoff up into 5th place. It's taken him a few laps, but now he moves forwards, and a great move from him as he pushes forwards in the number 85 Mercedes. Enzo Juli up ahead of him. What can he do about that BMW? Marat Kairov has been dispatched. Max Kronberg, Marc Di Fulgentio still there. Now looking at a challenge on Max Kronberg. Absolutely vital that he doesn't make contact. He knows that those Porsches could be a little bit vulnerable. He'll want to push the number 30 car to going a little bit harder and a little bit faster than he needs to. Maybe try to push him into a tyre blowout. There are 6 minutes plus 1 lap of this race remaining. We're riding on board with Marc Di Fulgentio in 8th place, looking at Max Kronberg and Marat Kairov up ahead. Into the sun they come, down the waterfall, and Marat Kairov doing a good job. Not as experienced as his co-pilot Gabriel Piana, and has improved as this season has gone on, putting up a lot more of a fight in the number 2 BMW. Hofer Racing by Bonk Motorsport, definitely getting quicker. What can he do, though, to fend off Max Kronberg and Marc Di Fulgentio? How many risks will Fulgentio take in an attempt to get points? Mike David Ortman has an 8.5 second lead at the front with just a fraction over 5 minutes of this race remaining. It is race 10 of a 12-race season in the ADAC GT4 Germany. And this, if they can bring it home, Mike David Ortman and Hugo Sasser will have one hand on the trophy. They will pick up 25 valuable points in the championship hunt. If Marc Di Fulgentio can bring the car home in 8th place, he will pick up some points, a few, 8 points that is, and that will be a 43-point deficit to the leaders. So it will keep the championship open, albeit by just a small amount. Mike David Ortman, 8.7 seconds, so he's not backing off, is he? 4.5 minutes remaining. Marc Di Fulgentio doing what he can to help his co-driver Denis Bolotov in the BCMC Motorsport, powered by Eastside Motorsport Mercedes AMG, into that 8th place, into the sun, down the waterfall, in towards turn 12 of the track. Time now starting to run out. A little over 4 minutes remaining. It has been an eventful race in the ADAC GT4 Germany, a race that featured a fairly lengthy red flag for Dominic Schack, who made heavy contact with the barrier out on the exit of turn 11. The race was restarted, and it was Hugo Sasser and Mike David Ortman who have taken the lead. Now, 2nd place, Mo Ritson under pressure from Nico Handke. Mo Ritson and Tom Wood have not had any podiums this year. Tom Wood did taste success last year, a podium position. Another Porsche with a puncture. That is the 26 car, Tom Kiefer. So another Porsche with a puncture. I should think that Max Kronberg will be taking notice of that. The team will be on the radio. Look after the tyres. You just need to hold out for 3 minutes and 20 seconds. Don't push too hard in that 7th place. No problems for Mike David Ortman. He leads the way, 7.8 seconds. Could it be a double back-to-back finish for Mike David Ortman and Hugo Sasser? We're going to find out in 3 minutes plus 1 lap. Mo Ritson has done a good job fending off Nico Handke. At one point, Handke was pressing hard. Now Ritson has opened up a bit of a gap, about half a second. But maybe Handke is just gearing himself up, winding himself up for one last attack on the second step of the podium. It would be such a shame if both of these cars didn't finish in the top 3, because they have fought so hard. They both deserve silverware. So keep it clean, keep it out of the gravel trap. This is the fight for second place with 2.5 minutes remaining on this race. Punctures and mechanical issues notwithstanding, Mike David Orban and Hugo Sasso look to have this one tied up, but the second place battle rages on. We keep one eye on Max Kronberg in the number 30 car, the one that is identical to so many that have had punctures. In the background, Mark Di Fulgentio. Can he steal away 7th place and more valuable points for his co-driver, Denis Bulatov? And another retirement. Yeah, that says it all. Hands in the air. The tyres just couldn't handle it. That Porsche back into the pits, and once again the right rear tyre is shredded. The running theme here at the Sachsenring. Ortmann 7.5 seconds over Mo Ritson. He's got Nico Hanke 4/10 behind. The two BMWs running in second and third. Ritson just picking up a little bit of dirt on his tyre as he goes round the corner. Hanke taking a very light line out of turn 11, down the waterfall towards turn 12 under the braking. Ritson looks to have this under control. Less than 90 seconds of timed racing. Up the hill towards turn 13. Once again, Hanke just takes a little look. What's he going to do here? Is he going to line him up on the pit straight? These cars are pretty identical. Out of turn 13, along the pit straight we come. We also looking at Enzo Juli and Jan-Philipp Springhoff behind. In towards turn 2 they come, running side by side. Mo Ritson on the left-hand side as you look. Nico Hanke trying to take the wide outside. Mo Ritson slams the door in his face. Less than a minute remaining of this race. Mo Ritson looking for his first ever podium in ADAC GT4 Germany. He's in second place at the moment. Nico Hanke challenging him. Enzo Juli under so much pressure from Jan-Philipp Springhoff. Marat Kyrov holding on to that 6th place ahead of Max Kronberg at the moment. Kronberg, I suspect, has decided not to push too hard. He needs to bring the car home. But the fighting continues up and down the pack. There, Mo Ritson, Nico Hanke, Enzo Juli in the black and white BMW. The Mercedes behind him with Jan-Philipp Springhoff, number 85. It says 0.28 seconds, but we can see it's even closer than that at some parts of the circuit. Now the clock ticking down almost to 0, and soon we will be on to the last lap of the race. The race leader, Mike David Ortmann, is currently heading around towards turn 13, and then there will be one more lap to complete after this. It has been an eventful 1 hour of racing. Out of the final corner onto the final lap he comes. Mike David Ortmann, he's backed off 6.6 seconds. You think the message of the tyres might have got through. Mo Ritson, well, he's been defending hard from Nico Hanke. He's still in front at the moment, but the driver combination that have dominated this weekend, they've come from behind in both cases. Mike David Orban and Hugo Sasso now with just 3/4 of a lap remaining. Mo Ritson, can he hold on from Nico Hanke? Can he pick up his first ever podium in ADAC GT4 Germany? I believe it will be the second ever podium for Tom Wood if they can get up there as well. Nico Hanke, along with his co-pilot Max Janssen, have been there or thereabouts all season long. Want to improve on that 3rd place, but time is now running out. Enzo Juli with Jan-Philipp Springhoff behind as well. We're in the final lap of racing. Our race leader heading up the hill for the very last time towards turn 9. So Mo Ritson alongside once again. And the cars still fighting tooth and nail for position. It is Mo Ritson now who loses that position. Car 84, Nico Hanke just squeezing past in the last lap. Such great driving from Nico Hanke, but brilliant driving from Mike David Orban. It's back-to-back wins in the Sachsenring. Mike David Orban, Hugo Sasso, 2 out of 2. They extend their lead in the championship. Mo Ritson finally in third place, Nico Hanke stealing it away, and Jan-Philipp Springhoff made it past Enzo Juli, Marat Kairov, Max Kronberg made it, Martin Fulgentio in 8th place. He keeps Dennis Bulatov's championship hopes alive, but only by a whisker. Hugo Sasser and Mike David Ortmann now with one hand on the trophy in the ADAC GT4 Germany, a win in race 10 here at the Sachsenring. So we'll see you next time at Hockenheim for round 6. Bye-bye.
Bei all der Freude, bei all dem Jubel, dass es Dominik Schark den Umständen entsprechend gut geht und wir definitiv den Daumen nach oben zeigen dürfen.
So those of you who are still joining us in the streaming of the ADAC GT4 Germany, we hope you've enjoyed it here, and hope you've enjoyed seeing Mike David Ortmann and Hugo Sasser taking the top step of the podium. It has been an enthralling race. It was Mike David Ortmann and Hugo Sasser who came through to take 25 valuable points. That takes them up to 173 in the championship chase. Mark De Fulgentio came home in next place. That gives 8 points to Dennis Bulatov, his co-driver. David Jahn and Janis Fischer, they are 60 points adrift, so they are out of the championship hunt. Now, where did Simon Conoprim and Jan-Philipp Springhoff come? The answer is they came in 4th place. So they would have picked up points as well. Well, there you can see someone's been doing the working out for me. There is only one driver who is in the championship hunt. 43 points the difference between Hugo Sasser and Mike David Ortmann and Dennis Bulatov. There are 50 points available. The next 2 races will be at Hockenheim, and there will be 25 points on each. So Hugo Sasser, Mike David Ortmann, really with more than one hand on the trophy. They just need to, one way or another, pick up 7 points, and irrespective of what Dennis Bulatov and Mark De Fulgentio do, the championship could be theirs. Hugo Sasser, Mike David Ortmann could be the history-making first drivers to ever score back-to-back championship victories in the ADAC GT4 Germany. It was a race that seemed to be all about tyres. Tyre blowouts certainly being the case, and it seemed to be the Porsches on the whole, but it wasn't just the Porsches, was it? We saw Leon Wasserthurer in the Hofer Racing by Bonk Motorsport car also suffering a puncture. We lost Max Oostum, we lost Alex Hartwig, we lost David Jahn, and then we had the accident where we lost Dominic Schack. We're hoping to bring you the podium ceremony. So for those who are still watching online, thank you very much for staying with us. Hope you've enjoyed the race. It has been a very tight program here this afternoon. We've had a number of red flags, and more so than in this race. And it's meant that we're running quite close to the mark on the schedule, but we really want to bring you the podium ceremony. There is Hugo Sasser on the left, and there is Simon Conner-Prim on the right. Simon Conner-Prim, along with Jan-Philipp Springer, who came home in that 4th place. But we'll pick up points also in the Junior Championship. And coming into this race, Simon Conner-Prim was leading the Junior Championship from Daniel Gregor and Finn Zulauf by 129 points. He will have extended that on account of the fact that the 75 car was involved in all those dramas and didn't score any points. So there is our podium music. We are getting ready to welcome the 6 drivers who finished in the top 3 places, and hopefully a representative also from Pro Sport Racing. And Hugo just having a quick word, mopping himself down and getting himself ready for the podium presentation. Big shout out to Mo Ritson and Tom Wood for getting onto the podium. It was so close in the closing stages. Max Janssen, Nico Hanke in the last lap, just finding a route past, but a podium is a podium. It will be the first one for Mo Ritson in ADAC GT4 Germany. And there is Tom Wood. The 2 British drivers, Mo Ritson and Tom Wood, a welcome addition. It has been a tough series to learn, but you can see how much it means. Congratulations all around. And there is Max Janssen as well. The team looking on and applauding. That's the Pro Sport team preparing the Aston Martins, 4 of them in the series. There's no other team that puts as much into this as Pro Sport do. And we really appreciate what they do as part of the ADAC GT4 Germany.
And then I saw the other Volcano start. I'm like, fuck, we got a shit.
Oh, beg your pardon. There we go. Tom Wood can put a quid in the swear box on his way past next time. And there is my David Ortman. And very shortly, he and Hugo will go to the top step of the podium. To get a back-to-back win is a heck of an achievement. To do it 2 years running, showing how much they love the Sachsenring. It's their 4th win of the season. Toby Shimon, our presenter, doing 3rd place first. Here comes Mo Ritson and Tom Wood for FK Performance. From the UK, great driver combination. You can see how much it means. 2nd place, Nico Hanke and Max Janssen, racing for Volkenhorst Motorsport. But once again, Pro Sport to the top. Mike David Ortman and Hugo Sasser. Now surely they could dream about a championship retained, keeping the #1 on the door of that Pro Sport Aston Martin. And now we wait for the national anthem. So, lots of happy people on the podium. All 6 looking really pleased to be there. Trophies to be presented by Michael Saxer from the ADAC Sachsenring, or from the Saxon region. Andre Rudolph, also from ADAC Saxon, presenting the second place trophies. And our third place trophies being presented to the British duo. Such good guys, great fun to be with, and loving their time in GT4 Germany. Pro Sport also getting a trophy for all the hard work that they do. There's always this calm before the storm. The photos, keep hold of the trophies, then they'll move forwards, maybe. No, we're not going to do one from the balcony. We're going to go straight for it. The champagne fight starts. There is the championship. There are now just 3 people in it, and 2 of them are in the same team. Hugo Sasser, Mike David Ortman lead Dennis Bolotov by 43 points. They just need to outscore them by 7 points at the next round at the Hockenheimring, and they will be the first driver pairing ever to successfully defend their championship in the ADAC GT4 Germany. So the time has come to say goodbye from the Sachsenring. It will be Hockenheim from the 20th to the 22nd of October for the final 2 races of the season. Will it be Mike David Ortman and Hugo Sass who take the championship, or will there be a final twist in the tale of the ADAC GT4 Germany? We'll see you in October. Bye-bye.